All right, guys, welcome back to Friends and Enemas. I have my friend Ashley here with me. If you guys don't know her, I'm going to let her introduce herself.
Yeah. So I'm Ashley, obviously. I'm a nurse. I'm a mom. I do some social media content as well. I currently still work as a nurse. I'm an ICU nurse. I've been a nurse for this year will be my 9th year, and I've spent the last 8 years in the ICU, which makes me feel really old. I'm like a crusty nurse now. I'm like,
no, you're not. Well, that's kind of, I was shocked when you told me like you're at 9 years, almost 10, obviously.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy shit, like
yeah.
You've been doing this for a fat minute.
I know. It's crazy because I became a nurse so young. I was a nurse when I turned 21.
Oh, yeah.
I remember I had a nursing instructor who was like, you're like barely old enough to drink, but you can like give narcotics. And I was like, yeah, that's
you're like,
actually crazy.
That checks out. Yeah. No, that is crazy.
Yeah. Because I mean, I knew what I wanted to do so early on. So I just kind of jumped right into it. But I mean, outside of nursing, I have 2 kids, which is exciting and busy.
Yes. Another full-time job.
Another full-time job. My husband and I have been married this is our 10-year wedding anniversary this year. So we've been married a long time too. And yeah, that's kind of me in a gist,
in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to dive into all of those topics.
Yeah.
But would you mind telling people, like, was nursing like you said, you always knew you wanted to do it. Can you kind of dive into that a little bit?
So I knew I wanted to be a nurse. Well, I mean, I knew I wanted to do something in the medical field since I was like, probably in elementary school. My mom tells stories how I would like watch the TLC like world's biggest tumor shows or like all those like medical shows. Like I was like 7 years old, like just sitting on the couch watching those. And so I've always loved the medical world. When I was in high school, I was trying to kind of figure out, okay, well, what do I want to go to college for? And I thought, well, maybe I'll go be a doctor. I really wanted to go be an OBGYN. That was kind of like what I was thinking. But as time went on, I was like, I'm really interested in the things that nurses do, taking care of patients, like very hands-on, like talking with people. And not that providers don't do that. It's just a totally different approach.
Yeah, absolutely.
And also they just have such a long time in school, and then their hours are usually pretty crazy, especially if for OBGYNs.
Oh, yeah.
And so I was like, I know I want a family when I get older, and I know I want kids and all that. And the life that I see for myself would just be able to focus kind of more on that as well.
Yeah.
And not that there aren't doctors that can balance it all. I don't want that to sound like I'm
no, it doesn't.
shaming people.
It just has different,
it's totally different
priorities.
Work-life balance, and that is just not what I saw for myself. So,
right.
I would say I was probably like a junior in high school. I was like, you know what, nursing's gonna be what I want to do, and I'm so thankful that I did nursing. I feel like there's so many big decisions you make in life, and that's one decision where I'm like, I 100% made the right decision.
That's awesome.
I mean, I love being a nurse, and it's just it fits me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, it really does. And that's why like your content being so educational, it fits you so well. Like you know what you're talking about. Also, you've been in it for almost 10 years. So that shows other like newer nurses like, okay, it does take time to really hone in on these skills and the like physiological background of everything that we do. Because I know as like a new grad, it took me a long time to realize like I'm not stupid. It just takes time.
Yeah, totally.
Because there's so much going on.
There is. And I feel like there's a big thing online where people are so like, nursing sucks, or it's so hard, and it's like I hate it, and I'm not discrediting those people's feelings, because there is that part of nursing that is really hard and emotional, and I understand how people get so burnt out from it. But I get a lot of people that message me like, thank you for like sharing the positive side of nursing and like showing someone that still loves their job. And I love what I do. I feel like I get out of it as much as I put into it.
Yeah.
And it's almost therapeutic. I don't know, it's like the right word.
No, I feel like it is. I think so. For me, when I was a new grad, I had very similar feelings to probably some of the new grads that are watching the negativity on it. And like I'll post negativity too sometimes just because
it's relatable.
It's relatable.
And there should be light brought to these
like a
hard aspects of nursing.
Absolutely. But then on the other side of it, every time I'm asked, well, what would you do instead of nursing?
Yeah.
Like go to college for? I could not tell you.
Yeah.
There's no way. I wouldn't choose something else.
Yeah.
Because I know like a lot of people, I don't know if people know this or not, but nursing is my like plan B, but it doesn't mean I don't care about taking care of patients. Like I would say like that's the easiest part of it for me.
Oh yeah, totally.
It's easy to take care of people that are sick. Like that's not like a no-brainer, but it's all the other shit that comes with it that I'm like, nobody warned me about this in school.
Yeah.
Like the unit politics or like the unit culture or dealing with
the drama.
The drama. Like it's weird. I'm like, we're all adults, but I used to think it was just healthcare because that was like what was on my timeline a lot. But if you go on like waiter TikTok, lawyer TikTok, I say it wrong apparently.
I was like, what is that word?
Lawyer. I'm just a hick. Attorney TikTok. Yeah. Any like other type of workplace TikTok, they all have their drama too. So it's like it's not just us. Yeah. Because people like to say like, well, nurses are mean girls. That's why I'm like, no, it's just how adults work.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's like that song like High School Never Ends.
Yes.
And it's true. It just transitions to your adult life.
Right.
And that's why I always tell people when they're like, I don't like working at this hospital, I'm moving, which kudos to you. If you're not unhappy, make a change.
Yeah.
But I'm like, there's literally shit everywhere. Like,
right.
There's going to be pros and cons no matter where you work, where you start. It's just, in certain places will be slightly better than others. But overall, if you talk to nurses, no matter where they live, it's all the same shit.
It really is. It really is. And also, like, you can find units that bring you joy.
Yes.
You're on one.
Yes. Yeah.
My friend Anna's on one.
Yeah.
So like they do exist. Yeah. When I was traveling more, we found honestly like 9 out of 10 were great.
Yeah.
One was kind of like, I probably wouldn't sign on to work here, but that's 1 out of 10. Mm-hmm. So I just feel like a lot of people like to look at it like glass half empty type thing.
Yeah.
Versus glass half full.
Yeah. And also people like to jump on and feel like they're like a part of something. Yes. So like if people are like, I hate this place, and people are like, me
jump
too.
on the bandwagon. For sure. How would you tell like new grads or any nurse struggling with burnout or feelings of like hatred towards their job? Like what advice would you give them?
I always say the first thing you have to do is take care of yourself. And I know that sounds so cliche, and like we know that, like everybody knows that, but right. It's true. Like you cannot do your job unless you are filling your own cup first. Mm-hmm. And so if you're like struggling with things in your personal life, that's going to carry over to your professional life as well.
Yeah. I say that too.
And so taking good care of yourself, and then just, you have to find a job that matches with you. So like maybe you started in med surg and you've realized that's not for you. That's okay. Mm-hmm. Like that would burn me out too.
Right. Not every unit's for everyone.
Yeah. And so if you're unhappy, there's so many things you can do in nursing. And I know it's easier said than done because, people are established in their jobs, and sometimes it's hard to make that change. But if you're truly burnt out, don't just discredit the whole nursing profession.
Yeah.
Maybe that's unit's not for you, or that manager, or that hospital, and like you can find other avenues that can make you more satisfied and less burnt out.
Right. No, that's good advice. Moving on to you're married for 10 years.
Yeah.
I'll be married for 10 years in October. And I've never met someone else that like has got married at the same time as me.
Yeah, because we're the same age.
I'm a few years older than you. I'm 31.
Oh God, you're old. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I just turned 30. I'm just kidding.
I usually want to lie. I'm like, wait, I'm still 27? No. Oh, I thought you were like 27. Okay.
No, I just turned 30 this year.
Oh, okay.
So we're pretty close.
Pretty close.
Yeah.
Did you graduate 2011?
12.
12. Okay.
Jesse, my husband, he was 2011.
Okay. So I was 2011. Okay. I forgot about that. Tell us about that.
Yeah.
Getting married as a child bride.
So, yeah. I was basically a child. No, so we got married. I was 20 and my husband was 21. We sort of met kind of end of high school. I was still in high school and he had just graduated because he was 2011.
Yeah.
So we met in 2012. And he was in the military. And so that was a big part of why we got married so young, was that kind of military life and culture. But, at the same time, we were both very like level-headed young adults.
Yeah, like you knew what you wanted to.
We knew what we wanted to do. I will say, now that I worked like 10 years into this thing, I'm like, holy shit, like we were babies. And I'm sure you feel the same way. And it's not that I want to tell other people, don't get married young, because you know what? Obviously like it's worked out for us.
Yeah.
But we have been through a lot of trials and struggles and things that when you get married young, you think, oh yeah, like we're in this for the long haul. But like when you are in the thick of like just life, it can be hard.
Absolutely.
And so we just passed our 10-year, like we said, in March, and that was like very huge for us. I didn't think I would be so like kind of emotional over it. Like it was just like, wow, we have literally, no matter what trials we've been through, at the end of the day, we have like chosen each other and put each other first, and we've grown together. And that's really, really hard to do, from being young 20s to now in our 30s. And so it's like, I'm proud of us.
Absolutely. I can totally relate to that.
Yeah, but it has been a lot of good. It has been a lot of hard. I mean, we've done deployments when he was in the military. Jesse had testicular cancer a couple of years ago. And throwing kids into the mix, and career changes, and college, and like all these big things that we've done. But at the end of the day, we've accomplished them together, no matter what other kind of stuff we've been through. So.
No, I totally relate to that, because I know when Jared and we got married fast too. Like we met in July, we're dating September, got married or got engaged in January, and got married that October. And so a lot of my friends and family were like, "Are you pregnant?"
Yeah.
You know, is that why? I was like, "No, I'm not pregnant. Like we're in love, you know."
Yeah.
But looking back, we always say like, "What was the rush?"
Yeah.
And not same with you. Like if you're getting married young, it's everyone's own decision.
Yeah.
But I look back and I'm like, there really was no rush. But we were in like an environment where like very religious, so if you're going to be dating and living under the same roof, you should definitely get married versus other things. And so we felt very pressured to hurry up and get married, but there really wasn't a rush. We would have been fine waiting, but even looking back, I'm still glad that like we did, because we can say, look at all the shit we dealt with, and we like grew from it. And I know a lot of people grow apart, but we decided to grow together and individually, because I'm not the same person I was when I was 20 years old.
Yeah, same.
I'm just like, and you're not supposed to be.
Yeah.
But I think people have a hard time like realizing their spouse is going to change and like accepting them for who they are.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people struggle with that.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, I don't have other friends that like have got married so young and it's worked out.
Yes, I know. And that's the thing too, is like now we're in like this phase, so we already have our kids and stuff, but now it's like a lot of our friends are now just starting to get married, or they're now just starting to have kids, and we're over here like, deuces guys, like we've been here. But there is something special to be said about that. And there's no perfect recipe.
No.
When we were getting married, we had support, and then we had people that didn't support us, and the people that supported us were like, you know what, you guys are smart and you guys are grown-ups, and there's just no perfect recipe. There's some people that know each other for 10 years, get married, and then they get a divorce next year. And there's people that know each other for a day and get married, and they're together for 60 years. So it's just, I think at the end of the day, it's, do you choose that person, work hard to grow together, and communicate with each other and put each other's needs above all.
Absolutely. I feel like communication's like my favorite word with our relationship, just because I know there was a point in our marriage where it felt like we were roommates, back to just being roommates, but we were both scared to tell the other one what we're like, almost expectations, just as we were growing. But now it's like, no, you just got to talk. You have to talk it out and respect each other too.
Well, and then knowing in a marriage, you're growing together, but you're also growing individually. So like, I think a lot of times where I see issues come up with relationships is they're trying to control their partner too much from like being something that they want to be. And so allowing your partner also to grow into themselves and, you know, respecting that too. Because at the end of the day, like, we're all individuals, but then we have this marriage. So we have to balance both.
No, I like that a lot. How is it being a young mom? Because still, like, for me, I feel like right now, if I was pregnant, I would still feel like I was a teen mom.
No, I love those that they're like, I'm a teen mom, and they're like, I'm 29.
That's how I feel. I'm like, oh shit.
So and that's another thing too, is so I had my daughter Callie at 24, and back then, I mean, we had been married for going on almost 5 years. So it kind of felt like, like, I mean, we've been married a long time. Like, kids is the next step, and we wanted kids. So like we knew we wanted a family. But now, like, looking back, I'm like, man, I was so young. But I also appreciate it too, because I feel like when you're young, like, you have this like energy and motivation to you. And I realize as I get older, like, that's a lot more hard to combat that.
I can totally relate.
You're like, man, I'm kind of tired. And we're not even like that old. So like, I can only imagine how we're going to feel in 10 years from now.
But you're getting all like really the hard stuff. Like, you know, they're young and energetic and they're going to have energy for a while,
Yeah.
but like you guys can keep up with them right now.
Yeah, totally. And I also am like, you know what? When they graduate high school, I'm going to be in my 40s, like
Hell
my
yeah.
young 40s. And so, like, I'm still going to have this whole life ahead of me, a whole nother chapter that, like, right now, it's not like, I'm looking forward to it, but I'm not. Like, I'm happy where I'm at. I want to enjoy where I'm
Yeah.
at. But I'm also like, we're not going to be like 60 years old and having like high schoolers at home. And there's nothing wrong if that's your
Right.
situation.
Everyone's different.
Everyone's different. I just cannot imagine like being
Right.
that age in that stage of life. And so I'm thankful that I'm a young mom. I feel like I've also grown up together with my daughter, kind of raising her in a sense.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's how it always is.
It
We're always
is.
going to look back and be like, yeah, I've grown a lot.
Yeah.
And that's the goal, right?
It is.
Like,
It is. That's a good way to look at it too.
Yeah.
And your kids are so freaking cute.
they're so cute.
They're hilarious, actually. They're both hilarious.
Yeah, it's actually kind of incredible. It's funny.
Like, I'm impressed. I'm
Yeah,
like,
I am
oh.
impressed. Yeah, and I give that to my husband Jesse because I feel like he's way more.
He's got a good sense of humor.
Very funny and energetic, and I'm much more like, I don't know. I don't want to say
You're funny too, but
just different. Just
he's like class clown funny.
he's like I don't want to say center of attention in a negative sense.
No,
but
no.
he's like the life of the party.
Yes, that's
and
a good
my
way to put
kids
it.
like to be the life of the party.
He's raising them right. I feel like that's how
Yeah.
they should feel.
It's a good balance, and
It is.
I think they'll be all right. I hope they'll be all right.
So growing up in your childhood, was there anything that stood out to you that maybe made you who you are today, whether it be good or bad or indifferent?
Yeah. I feel like when I talk about my childhood, you know, a lot of people talk about like, oh, I had a bunch of trauma or I had a bunch of this stuff. And I feel very lucky to say that I had a very good childhood.
Yeah.
I had two great parents. They did get divorced when I was 18. So that was a little hard being like this adult, but you're not really an adult. You're like an adult, but not.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And like, what the heck?
Definitely
Like,
feel like an adult at the time.
yeah, like my parents had been together a long time. But growing up, I mean, I had a great stable childhood. I mean, I can't think of one thing that I was like, oh my gosh, like that was traumatic. But I do have a brother that has autism. So I'm the oldest. I have 3 younger siblings. And my brother Austin has autism. So that was something in my childhood that I think has shaped me into who I am today. We are 4 or 5 years apart. So even though it's not that big of an age gap, it was enough where I was sort of another sort of motherly figure to him growing up.
Yeah.
And it taught me a lot about like patience, that everybody's different, to not judge. Like you don't understand what somebody else is going through.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of times growing up, one in particular, we were doing trick-or-treating growing up, just like a normal kid thing. And we went up to a house and my brother Austin was, I don't even remember what he was doing, but like freaking out over something. I mean, overstimulated, just like, you know, clearly having a moment to himself. He's a kid. He's also has autism. So
Yeah.
he struggled with some of that stuff. And there was a mom that answered that door that got really offended by his reactions. And she yelled at my parents, like, you need to control your child. And I still remember that as a kid. And I remember how much that like hurt my mom and my dad too. But just like hearing that and seeing that, I was like, I never want to be that way. I never want to be like that judgmental towards other people.
Yeah.
And I think that's helped me in my nursing career. Just understand there are so many different types of people out there. And even if you're different from somebody, you can still love and connect people and like, or connect with people and find some sort of common ground.
Absolutely. Man, I didn't know that someone like, I don't know, it's silly to say like I wouldn't have thought someone would react that way, but then at the same time, like I see people react that way all the time. So it's like, but also he's a kid. And also once again, they didn't know like he's also autistic on top of that.
Yeah.
When I'm overstimulated, I kind of freak out and I'm not autistic. So I can't imagine, you know what I mean? Like the extra layer of that. Like when I'm overstimulated, it's not a good day.
Yeah.
So like I just can't imagine.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a good point though, because I see a lot of like TikToks about like kids on airplanes or kids in a restaurant or whatever, and how they're like, if you can't control your kid, you shouldn't be here. You shouldn't some whatever. I'm like, are you guys okay? It's like a 3-hour plane ride.
Yeah.
It's not that long of your life to deal with a crying kid.
Yeah. Well, and I also think too, like for that example, if you have kids crying on the plane, like those parents are miserable.
They
Like,
are
I have
miserable.
been the parent with cranky kids on the plane, and like I don't want to be there.
Right.
Like, I'm sorry,
You
I don't want
think
to
they
be
want
dealing
that?
with. Yeah, like I'm doing everything I possibly can to try and like keep everyone happy and not bother other people.
Yeah.
But like people just are so easy to forget what they've been through.
Absolutely.
Or if they've ever had kids, like what that was like.
And just forget that kids are literally learning their emotions. Of course, they're gonna have outbursts. They're a child.
Yeah.
So it's like, you guys get some noise canceling headphones and put an eye mask on and go to sleep. It's fucking weird.
Yeah, and also it's like, okay, this is Southwest. This is not first class. Like, I'm sorry.
If you didn't want this, you should be paying for upfront.
Yeah, like you risk the fact that everyone's choosing their own seats.
Exactly.
Like, buckle up, Buttercup, because
Exactly.
like I got 2 toddlers here with me, so
That's funny. I always feel bad for them though. I really do. I'm like, that poor mom or
Yeah.
dad or whoever's with them. But I feel like most of the time I'm like, that poor mom.
Yeah.
Like, I feel bad for them.
yeah, and just in two, whenever I see that, I'm like, can I help you? Can I
Yeah.
do something for you?
Every
or like
time.
I'm like, I got a little toy, or
Yeah.
just anything.
I always try to like distract the kid. Like there was a kid on actually our last flight, and he was right in front of me, and he was turning around crying, and I was like, I was like, I don't know if he's old enough for peekaboo. Let's try it. And
Yeah.
it worked.
Oh, gosh,
and he was
yeah.
chill the whole time. And then his mom, like in tears at the end, was like, "Thank you so much. Like
Yeah.
I'm so sorry." I was like, "Girl, I do not care about the stuff like that. That is
Yeah.
silly to get upset at you for."
Yeah.
But she was clearly so anxious. I felt so bad for her. I was
Yeah.
like, "You can't help it. Like you're trying everything you can." And
Yeah.
he's like 2.
Oh my
Like,
gosh,
what-
yeah. Well, society puts such a pressure on parents to like keep their kids in line, and,
Yeah.
and so then you feel this pressure of like, if my kid reacts, like everyone's just gonna judge me or be embarrassed. And,
Yeah.
and I kind of over that. I'm like, whatever. Like my kid wants to lay on the floor in the grocery store and scream.
Let them be.
You do that because I am not even gonna try and intervene right now.
Right.
Because
You
you're
already
just-
know it's not going to work.
You need your 5 minutes to scream. Sometimes I need my 5 minutes to just cry and be like, all right, girl, get your shit together. Like you're.
Like that's enough.
Yeah, put your big girl pants on.
Right.
So, and sometimes kids they need that little outlet. And,
No, that's how I feel too. I'm just like, society has like a idea of what families should look like
Yeah.
anyway, but especially like moms. I feel like moms get it really hard.
Oh my gosh.
Like moms should be this way. And then if you are that way, then you're still not doing it right.
Oh my gosh. Well, it's the same. It's an example of like, I can go to the grocery store and be like holding my kid that's screaming, and my other kid can be like picking things off the shelf, and people are like, ooh, like that mom, she doesn't have it together. Like, what is she doing? And then you see a dad doing the same thing, holding his screaming baby, and he's got another kid in the store. It's like, oh my gosh, you're so amazing for taking your kids to the store.
As if it's not part of their duties.
Yeah, it's like literally like, no, that's not how we look at things. Like we
No.
both like to be presently involved with
Right.
our kids, and like my husband takes just as much of a role in.
He's not a babysitter.
The
He plays the dad.
Yeah, he's a dad. He's not watching our kids. He's watching his kids because they're his kids.
Right.
Like,
I find that so crazy though, like, because once again, like I don't have kids and I don't want kids. And it's not because I don't like kids. I
Yeah.
actually love kids.
Yeah.
I just don't want any of my own. But watching what parents have to go through, like just all the judgment on TikTok specifically, I'm like, well, you guys can you not mind your own business?
Yeah.
It's really fucking weird.
Yeah. Well, and there's also so many right ways to do things. So many right ways to do
Yeah.
things. So, like, one thing that works for one family is not going to work for another family. I don't think it's good for kids to see parents be perfect all the time,
Yeah.
because life is not perfect, and you're going to have to interact with people in all different phases and stages. So,
Yeah.
like, I think it's good for your kids to see conflict and how you resolve it, and see you get upset and then like apologize, like, hey, I was having a hard moment, I'm sorry if I hurt you or upset you.
Yeah.
Like taking accountability, and like that's what's going to teach your kids to be resilient, good human beings.
Yeah.
is-
Because they're also going to come up with those emotions at some point, and they're going to remember how mom and dad acted.
yeah, and
And-
it's crazy because even just doing it for a couple years with my kids is Callie she's only 5, and she's come up to me after she's like had a big tantrum and been like, I'm sorry, Mom, I was really frustrated.
Aw.
And I'm like, damn, girl.
Yeah.
Like, that's some good communication.
That's a really nice
I'm like,
skills you got there.
I taught you that.
That's me.
But it can feel hard in the moment because you're like, it feels like nothing's working, and then all of a sudden they give you that little like win. And you're
Yeah.
like, okay,
You're
you're
like,
like,
it's
we're-
sinking in.
We're doing okay. Like we're
Yeah.
doing all right. And so,
Absolutely.
yeah.
No, your kids are great.
They are
I'm
pretty good.
totally switching topics, but I know people would be interested to know how you got into social media.
Yeah, it's kind of a funny story. So I started social media back in 2015. It was my spring break of nursing school. I was like in my third semester and I had a week off or something. And I was like, I don't know what to do. Like I literally have so much time on my spring break going from nursing school to like nothing for a week. I was like, I'll just start a YouTube channel. I don't know. Like I was doing so many different types of.
Back in 2015?
Yeah.
That's really cool, actually.
Yeah. If you go back on my YouTube channel.
I'm going to go look now.
Yeah. I mean, just brace yourself. But I was doing so many videos to start off with. I was doing like hair tutorial, makeup tutorial, or like all these little things. And I did one video on how to survive nursing school.
Ooh.
And it did a little better than my other videos. And I started to meet some other like nursing YouTube people that were doing similar things to me. And one of them, Nurse Bass, he's still does some social media stuff, but he was like, well, your nursing video seems to do well. Why don't you just focus on that and kind of leave out some of the other stuff or start another channel for your like more personal stuff? And at first I was offended. I was like, I can do so many things.
How dare you put me in a box?
am more than just a nursing student. Like I want to show the world that I can do all these things. But then after a while I was like, he's right. Like people subscribe to you for a reason. They kind of want similar content that they can expect from you. And so I started to kind of do more nursing videos and those did a little better. So I made kind of my channel all about nursing. So I started on YouTube. Then of course, Instagram kind of became a thing. And then now TikTok's a thing. So I've had to kind of transition. But at first I was just doing like, this is how I studied for my test for L&D or, this is how my clinical day went, kind of just recapping. But then it transitioned more to like that supportive side of nursing, that educational side, like not just the textbook education, but like this is the real world of nursing and like this is how you interview for your first job, or this is how, if you have a coworker that's upsetting you, like how some ways that you can handle it, or if a provider yells at you, like those things they don't teach you in nursing school because there's so much to learn, but that like on the job experience that you learn, kind of like give you the insight before you get there, hopefully type of thing. And so it was kind of this area of nursing that wasn't really covered extensively, I felt like. And so that's what I've been focusing on mostly. And now I do a lot of education. I launched my crash courses almost 2 years ago. I launched my ICU crash course where I cover ICU content, but I also cover that, like how to talk to a dying patient, how to debrief after a code blue, how do you handle providers, like talk to providers, like what do they want to actually hear? Like they teach you SBAR, which is fine. I get it. But like at the end of the day, they don't want to be like, hello, Dr. So-and-so, this is Ashley. Yeah. So this patient in room, blah, 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 blah. Was he admitted for this? They're like, no, they just need the quick ins and outs. And so I try to dive into that stuff in my courses and touch on not just the textbook stuff, because that's important too, the evidence-based practices and why we do things, but the emotional aspect of nursing that people don't necessarily talk about as much.
Yeah. No, I think that's really cool. And also showing people that, because I'm sure you get asked, I want to start, where do I begin? Or, how did you get this big and stuff? You've been in it for almost 10 years.
Yeah, next March is 10 years.
And that's how I tell people too. I've been chronically online for 10 years. First I tried like a fitness account, and then I tried like a lifestyle kind of same thing, and it wasn't really taking off. I was like, I'm just going to play with nursing and just see what happens. Yeah. And it's funny because like it's the last thing I thought that would work. And same with you, like saying like you got a little offended. I had a friend tell me like you should drop all the other stuff, and I was like, I'm not just a nurse. Actually, it's not even the thing I wanted to do with my life, all this stuff, but it's what was working. And it actually made me start liking nursing more by doing that, kind of like making relatable videos. It's funny that you started with YouTube though, because I'm now trying to get into YouTube, and I'm like, oh my God, it's like a whole nother animal.
Yeah, I know. I still post like stuff that I record to YouTube, but it's just, it's hard, like to balance. I still work, I'm a mom, and now this whole other business, like making content, but also writing my courses. Like I know that it's a lot, and it's good. Like social media has a lot of good to it too. And I'm thankful for this avenue that it's opened up a lot of opportunities for me. Yeah. But social media it's hard to be on social media too. Just having an online presence opens you up to everybody's thoughts and opinions, and it can be, you have to be a tough person to be on social
You
media
do.
because
You do.
you get a lot of feedback, good and bad.
Yeah, and I feel like that's something I didn't realize when I started on social media, the mental health aspect that comes with it. Like, you have to know who you are.
Yeah.
Otherwise, everyone's negative comments will get to you.
Yes.
Like, if you don't trust yourself, and at first online, I really didn't. I didn't really know what I wanted to do, or really, I was still like learning about myself, even as like a older adult.
Yeah.
But people's hateful comments used to get to me so bad. And now I'm just like, okay.
Yeah. I think like the older I get, the more I realize like what matters is my inner circle of like my family, my close friends, and like at the end of the day, random user 127965 like
with no picture.
Yeah, like I have no idea who you are. You have no idea who I am as a person. And like the people that I care about me.
Yeah.
That's who really matters at the end of the day. Like, yes, I like to post on social media. Yes, I like to help influence people in a positive way, but like I can't take every negative comment to heart because I would literally be just jumping off a bridge.
Sad. Yeah. It would be my 13th reason. So
yeah.
There'd be no reason to be here. No, I agree with that. What do you suggest people that want to be online? Like, I guess, I mean, we kind of went over it, but any other advice that you have for them?
Like if they're starting online, and I get people are like, well, I want to do social media and stuff. The first thing is you got whatever you're posting about, it has to be true to yourself and also something that you enjoy.
Yeah.
Because if you want to do it long term, you have to enjoy what you're doing. So if you're posting about nursing content, but you like hate being a nurse, it might not be the best fit for you.
Yeah.
But so finding your kind of your niche or whatever. And then consistency. It takes a long time to grow on social media. In order to do well, you have to be consistent.
Yeah.
And like, unfortunately, that means like posting every single day, multiple times a day.
Yep.
It's a lot, and it's a job that I can't really shut off. And I'm sure you feel the same way. Like my nursing shifts, I clock out and I'm like, adios people, like deuces, I'm off for a couple days.
Right.
But this job, it's like, it never ends. There's always more stuff to do.
Absolutely.
For social media. But being consistent, and then just seeing what works and what doesn't work. You're going to find that certain videos maybe do a little bit well, certain videos don't. But don't beat yourself up if you have a video that gets 200 views and your other one got 20,000 views.
Yeah.
Like, you can't think of it in that way, because you can't get caught up on it that way, because creativity ebbs and flows. And what resonates with people as ebbs and flows. And also the algorithms sometimes are just messed up on TikTok and Instagram. I post something like, oh, this is going to do great. And I'm like, oh, yeah, people hated it. You like are building a relationship with your audience. Yeah. So like just those one and done viral videos, like that doesn't make a relationship with your people and engaging with them. Like people want to come to you to feel like they're kind of a part of your community, online community.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good way to look at it, because you can have a lot of followers and not have a community. But if you have a big community, and even if it's a quote unquote small amount of followers, that's going to be way deeper than just people following you.
Yeah.
I had a video that went viral it was like random. It was a peanut butter thing with a dog, my dog. And that's all it was. And it went mega viral back in like 2020. And I was like, oh shit, now my whole account has to be dog stuff. Like I love my dogs, but I did not want a dog account. And so I was like, oh, maybe. But it made this like weird pressure on me to have to do that. And I was like, that's not what I wanted. And just like pivoting is okay. Yeah. That's what I was trying to get at.
Yeah, totally. And like, I think I saw something somewhere, like if 90% of your content is kind of in the same niche or whatever, and then 10% of it is like stuff that maybe you're kind of trying out or like something that's totally different. Like I don't post a ton of like makeup or get ready or skincare stuff. I love those videos. I love making them, and I also love watching people do them. Yeah. But like that's not really what people kind of follow me for, but I still every once in a while like to post it because I just like it, and that's okay. Even if it doesn't do as well, like it's my
It's still you.
I like making it, so I'm just going to do it. And the people that enjoy it will enjoy it, and the people that don't, well, there'll be another video in 4 hours. So.
Right, exactly. And you're not here to people please either. You're like doing what's best for you.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Well, where can everyone find you?
So all my social medias are pretty much the same name. It's my full name, Ashley Lorena Atkins. That's my Instagram. That's my TikTok. And then if you find me on one of those, then you can find my other stuff, like my courses and other things, fun things that I do are kind of all tied into that. So
perfect. Well, the links to her socials and her course will be in the description. And thank you so much for being on here once again. She was on season 1 too, but honestly, season 1 was rough.
We're at season 3.
Yeah, okay. Bye, guys.
Bye.